Alright, guys. Look. This message is going out to the entire Twitch chess community. We're being poison dripped, people. when we're talking about businesses, alright, there's two aspects. There's value creation, and then there's value extraction. These are two separate processes. I know I'm starting with something that's totally like what are you talking about? Like, I was just thinking about what I had, for lunch or something nasty that my friend said. And you're talking about businesses, value creation. Just bear with me, all right? And I'm about to say something that's very weird, but just bear with me. Think about this, okay? Look at the trees outside. If the tree wasn't there, none of us would be alive. Or the sun. Or a river, right, that brings water. How much value do you think is being created by an average tree? Nobody even thinks to quantify it because you don't have to pay the tree to do the tree thing, which is to make oxygen. But now let's say I put you in a room somewhere and I take away all the oxygen. And I ask you, hey, how much would you pay for the oxygen? You probably give me all your money. So doesn't that mean the trees collectively are worth at least an equal value to essentially the entire economy of the world? Because if an alien came in and was like, hey, we're gonna take away all your trees now, and you have to pay us all of your money to get the oxygen, we would give it all the money. But it's not just the oxygen of the trees, it's the water, the minerals, every type of mineral, vitamin D, vitamin C. What about cows? Cows make milk. Cows, you eat them for meat, and so on and so forth, right? Now, chess players are kind of like trees. Okay, we're like super logical, and if somebody asks us a question, we can answer very logically. But all we do is we sit at the park and play chess, and we're willing to do it, even if nobody like paid us, just like the tree. So the tree's not getting paid because it's going to do the tree thing whether you pay it or not. So it has no value in the human economy. And in the human economy, it's basically like you have to be like, I'm not going to do it anymore to get paid. Or you militarize the whole thing and you send, the mental hospital people after someone if they don't do the thing that you want, which is what the school does. But, let's not get too deep into that point. Let's put on some music. Okay. Actually, whatever. I don't need music. Okay. So let's think about what actually makes money. Companies that pollute the environment, okay? Companies that pollute the environment make a ton of money. What do you pay them for? You pay them to not kill you. ExxonMobil is just taking something from the ground and handing it to you. You're paying them to not burn up the whole world. Who else do you pay? Your school. Schools make a ton of money. I just learned that the high school that I went to, or the whole school district, which has about 2,000 students, has an annual budget of $60 million. $60 million. Now, for context, Distractify.com had 45 million users, and we were maybe a $22.5 million company. Now, if you have $60 million of annual run rate, your valuation is $600 million. That's a valuation of $30,000 per user. So I'm putting this in the chat now. Like, look at this. If you take $600 million and you divide it by 2,000 students, oh wait, I think it's actually 300,000. Hold on. Oh wow, it's 300,000. That means that my high school is 600,000 times more valuable than my company that I started. Now why? Why? Both, you can say that both are essentially content companies, right? What does your school sell you? Your school sells you a bunch of educational content. You know, you could say, oh well, it's not the same as Distractify because you go there and someone lectures you. Not necessarily, right? We had a fully remote semester this semester, and I know that the University of Buffalo didn't decrease their tuition just because it was a remote semester, and I also know that people didn't just start dropping out. So people still pay the same amount, even if it's remote, and even if there's no live lecture. And what does that reduce it to? It's just a bunch of lecture videos. Now at Distractify, we were pumping out content. We were probably pumping out enough content for in terms of the number of minutes it takes to consume it, probably an equal amount to 10 university courses. We weren't valued at $600,000 per user. Why? Because we don't have just literally. I mean, as absurd as this sounds, literally just take a list and write every single difference you can see between Distractify.com and a high school district. It doesn't have a .edu domain. Now my high school doesn't even have a .edu domain. My high school's domain is amherstschools.org. They have a .org domain. Does that mean that they're not going to get millions of taxpayer dollars because they don't have a .edu domain? No. So anyone can just register a .org domain, and then in that particular aspect, you're no different from a school that's worth $600 million. Just writing get a .org domain on my list. Now, what else is different? They have a real building. Nobody has to go to that building because it can be an all remote semester, right? But they have a building. You can rent a building. It's not going to cost you $600 million to rent a building, that's for sure. What else do they have? They have a police officer with a weapon who works at the school, who enforces the rules of the school. So when you have a police officer, suddenly you're worth a lot more. They have a huge course selection, right? Many classes, hundreds of classes. But you can just put up a website that says, hey, we have 600 classes and not actually offer any of them. I think that if you really tried and you went on Fiverr and you hired a bunch of freelancers, you could probably copy amherstschools.org. You could probably pay someone on Fiverr $10 and they will create an exact copy of that entire website. And then you can just swap in any name. Instead of teacher Jimbo Jones, just put your friend and say he's a teacher. You don't need you do need some accreditation to be a teacher, but at the university level, you actually don't need any accreditation to be a university lecturer. I know a guy at New York University who was just a professional playwright. I know another guy at Columbia University who was just an investor, and they invited him to do lectures at the school. So he actually taught a class at the school. He doesn't have a master's in education or anything like that, right? So don't start at high school, start at college. So you can pay a Fiverr freelancer $10 to just copy amherstschools.org or buffalo.edu or columbia.edu or whatever. And we've already figured out that .org is no different from .edu because .edu is harder to get. And then you just launch it on a .org domain, and then you just look at how many things they have. They have 100 classes. Just say you have 100 classes. They have, an application where you have to fill out a 10-page form. Just use Typeform. It costs $5 a month. Why aren't people doing that? Probably because their whole lives, as they were growing up, they were being threatened by the school. Like when you go to school, there's this implicit threat of like, hey, if you don't show up for class tomorrow, like the police are gonna show up to your house. The police is gonna show up to your house. Your vice principal is secretly a CIA agent. The police are gonna show up to your house, etc., etc. So you have like the fear, and the fear is what's making you pay the property taxes to pay the school and all that stuff. Dude, again, the tree in your backyard is just as valuable to your life as not being arrested for not going to school. But because the tree isn't knocking on your door and saying, hey, where's my money for the oxygen, you're not paying it. So you need collections. They also have a thing called a syllabus. Right? A syllabus is a 3-page document that tells you that you're an idiot, you're never going to get an A, and has like 5 pages of how like every student has 5 pages of like anti-harassment, anti-cheating. It just makes you feel like you're worthless. Right? Imagine showing up at McDonald's and then as soon as you walk in, they're like, "Hey, read this," and it's a sign about how you're fat and like obese people are gonna die. You would probably buy like 10 Big Macs after that, literally, because that's what the school does to you. Like the school, you're gonna pay $600 to sign up for a class, and then they hand you a syllabus that says you're a dirty cheater, and if we catch you, you're gonna be homeless. As I say it now, it's like what are you talking about? But that's actually what a syllabus is, because the part of the syllabus that actually talks about the course is maybe just 1 page. But if the university didn't hand you that syllabus, you wouldn't be paying that much for the course. You would in your head you would think this is worthless. Like if someone doesn't hand me a piece of paper that tells me that I'm a dirty cheater, and how bad they're gonna punish me and beat me up for being a cheater, I don't think it's of value. Look at chessable.com or like any chess website. There's like courses where you can get hours and hours of material, and those courses sell for like $30, not thousands of dollars, because they don't make you look at a syllabus. That's literally the only reason. Like, tell me another reason. Live classes are also kind of an important thing. The courses doesn't have to be live, but there has to be sort of a schedule, I think, right? Where it's like, you have to finish these lectures by this day, and then you have to like take this exam. Half the reason you pay for the class is because they give you an exam that's graded. How easy is it to just make a Google form or something and then make it look pretty and then send people grades? Why is nobody in chess is doing that? Why not? Why is there no chess course that gives you a grade? Clearly it works, right? Clearly it works, but nobody thinks to do that. Why? Because chess players are obsessed with acting like they're a tree. It's like, hey, we'll just, here's all of our free here's all of our free information. Hope you like it. We live in a world, I mean, I hope you guys are aware of this, but we live in a world where the people who actually make, or the things that make the most value aren't actually the things that make the most money. I hope people have like noticed that. Like have you ever turned on the TV and you looked at the people who are rich and you're like, that, like, there's no way that guy's doing more than me. I'm like a cashier, I serve like 50 people a day. This guy just runs a Ponzi scheme. Now, that's not to say negative things about rich people, because I used to be one, but there's some things that they do that if you just did those things, you could probably also become rich. Right? Like, how much do you think it costs to just rent a building and hire a security guard to work at the building and then call that person and then get a metal detector or something? It probably costs you maybe $5,000 a month. It probably costs you $5,000 a month to just get a building somewhere and then just hire a security guard and then say, this is my militarized school. Like, if you know, hey, you want to come to my school? You gotta check all your stuff at the door, and this guy's gonna frisk you, and only then you can get in. Now all of a sudden, instead of selling $30 chess lessons on Lee Chess, you're selling a $900 university level course at Chess University, just because you have a building and a security officer. I know it sounds crazy, but it's you just have to look at it objectively and be like, what's going on here? Like, the University of Buffalo or any of these schools, they'll sell like a dance degree, or like sociology, or any sort of like Asian studies or whatever, like literally things that have zero value, and yet they will charge the same amount for that class as like a biology degree, which also arguably is also debatable whether it has value, or like I don't know, physics or whatever. Like you can't do anything with a physics degree. The only thing that you get is you can say you have one and then maybe you can get a job, but even that's a little bit questionable. And the people they actually put into the faculty positions they're total idiots. Like they don't know anything, and they can't even think straight, and they can't speak in complete sentences. It's a total joke. Have you ever had the experience of being taught by somebody who's not as smart as you are, and it's difficult for you because you have to learn how to think like a dumb person? Because that's pretty much been my experience my whole life. Anyways, so this is just a broadcast of the chess community. Like come on guys, like, do you guys realize that everybody watches Tata Steel? When I called my high school and I'm like, hey, we should have a chess program, like, I could tell they were super interested. But really, they're just gonna steal my ideas and not pay me, because I'm a chess player. Like we gotta realize, chess is like, the clout of chess is like in the atmosphere. Chess is like a planet. Nobody pays for planets. We're too good. We're all the way up here. We're too good. And we don't get paid because we're too good. So we gotta come down to their level a little bit and make the syllabus and sell a bunch of BS course titles. Just say we have 140 degree programs or accreditations. Just take these like buzzwords that everyone recognizes as like a cool thing. Doctoral program. It just sounds like, just write doctoral program. Just research, go online and research what it takes to actually launch one, and then just do it. There's nothing, like, there's private universities that have been launched by people who were living out of a wagon in 1850. You don't think you could do it? When chess has an event like Tata Steel or the World Championship, everybody's watching. Everybody's watching, and they're paying attention to what the players are doing. They're paying attention to how they think, logical, how they talk. They're paying attention to what they wear, because all of it signals like a supreme level of status. And because chess is just super open source, you can't even copyright a game or a board position. You just go in there and just people will just look at what you're doing and copy it. They don't have to pay you because there's no gates. But if tomorrow all chess players were like, hey, we're just gonna go into this like secret warehouse now, and just not talk to anybody unless they get through the security guard, and then all of our information is hidden. You do that with anything, and you're gonna make a lot more money, right? If tomorrow we just took every single chess game ever and you put it in the database, and then you just buried it in like The Latter-day Saints has like they have like an archive vault in like the Utah mountains or whatever. Like literally, they have like they like store all of their stuff in like an actual vault in a cave or somewhere. If we just did that, we're like, hey, from now on, you can't see any chess games anymore unless you hike up the vault and pay us $100,000. I'm not saying everybody's gonna do it, but you're gonna start making a lot more money, right? Or another way to do it is to just give it to everybody and then say, hey, by the way, we're selling this $8,000 class, and if you look at our free information, like if you look at any of our free information, if you watch a chess broadcast, if you learn anything from us, if you look at a chess game ever, you have to buy this course, and if you don't, then we're gonna say you're crazy, because it's like who would like look at something and get a lot of value from it and not pay fairly, right? We're gonna come up with a mental disorder that says unfairness maximus, like you like not knowing what's fair is like now a mental disorder, and then we're gonna send the crisis services team, which comes with a cop, to your house and collect the payment. So either we hide everything in a warehouse, or we just give it out for free and then make them pay for a course with the crisis police combined sales team, which I've experienced a number of times. Never while I'm doing well in school, though, of course. The way you get out of that is just to say you're doing well in school. If you're not doing well in school, then you go to the prison, where you can't get out. So we need that. Like they have that. We need that as well. So we need to call. Just figure out how to establish that relationship. Like literally, like just lobby to like the American Psychological Association. Like these guys, these psychologists. Dude, you think psychologists know more about psychology than chess players? Literally, come on. And yet these guys are the ones who are writing all the mental disorder like descriptions, where it's like, hey, if a psychologist with a PhD looks at you the wrong way and says you fit one of these categories, you're going to the cuckoo house. And you have this thing on your record permanently. Dude, I play Bullet on chess. I play Bullet on Lee chess, and as somebody who has some mental disorders, and I know all the diagnosis criteria, I could diagnose half the players there with mental disorders just from playing a game with them. I can predict their future moves. I know when someone's erratic. So why do chess players have zero say in the psychology text or whatever? It's because they have this monopoly that's, so you just make friends with them. Who's good at making friends? We are. So you just make friends with them, make friends with a couple of psychologists who are influential, and then just get them to start writing some like mental disorders that are like that promote our thing, and then start getting a couple people diagnosed for it. Just like fake it. Like, get a couple chess players to fake that mental disorder so that it becomes a thing, and then start diagnosing other people with it, and then use that as an implicit sort of, hey, if you don't do what we're saying, then you're gonna go. And then as you accumulate more of that, then you can start charging more and more money. Like, I'm just giving you the historical background of how the public education system came up to its current level of valuation. I'm not even joking. It's illegal not to go to school. If it wasn't, I don't think as many people would go to school. I like when I was 16, if it didn't even cross my mind to not go to school. It was just I don't even know what would happen to me. Like, I would be homeless. I'd probably be dead. You pretty much get scared every day, right? So how did they didn't just build that up in like 2 months. It took years to build up that level of underlying fear. So we can do the same thing because that's what's profitable. Just say, hey, if you can't be logical, if you can't be a logical chess player, you're gonna be homeless and die. We're gonna establish a new mental health diagnosis criteria where if you can't beat somebody who's 800 ELO, then it's actually an indication that your brain is flawed, or like 1,000 ELO. We can literally I can foresee one line of calculation where we can actually say, hey, if you don't know how to checkmate something, if you don't know how to like play a full game, like checkmating somebody is like one of the easiest things, right? You can learn it in like 3 days. And if you can't do it, then your brain clearly doesn't work very well. Like, we're a little bit concerned about how you're even doing a job, how you're even putting on pants in the morning, if you keep forgetting how like a swallow's tail checkmate works. Like, dude, I've been teaching you this for like 3 months. Just put the queen on the same on an adjacent square to the enemy king on the edge, and then it's checkmate, and you still can't do it. Like, are you okay? Is that like we're very concerned about you? And yet, at my college, there's only like 10 people who have over 1,000 elo in chess. And let me tell you, the other people aren't secretly 2,000 elo and not 2,000 elo. Because everybody who's pretty good at something are going to be told to like be official at it, right? It takes like 3 minutes to make a chess.com account and just play some games. But I certainly talk to people who sound like they can't checkmate in like 50 moves. What's a mental disorder? A mental disorder means you can't think clearly and you can't make rational decisions. Literally, a mental disorder is you can't make rational decisions. What's a rational decision? What to do when the opponent has a knight on the 5th rank? If you can't figure out how to combat the second player having a knight on d4, then are you really qualified to handle the budget that you have as a finance manager, or are you handled to teach a class? I don't think so. So why don't we just add a why don't we just come up with some buzzword like a Rorschach test, but it's like a checkmate in 3 test, where if you can't do a checkmate in 3, you have to take Risperdal or something like that. Like, one of the diagnosis criteria for bipolar disorder is grandiose delusions, where someone who's not even a business professional will tell you that your business idea is delusional. I've had that happen. Like, a doctor who's been sitting in the hospital for the last 20 years was like, hey, I'm diagnosing you with this because the business, like, you've been talking about this, like, business idea, and I just don't think it's realistic. Like, it was, when I heard that, I was like, this is what actually happens at the mental hospital. I'm being evaluated based on a business idea by a psychologist. But but nobody tells you that. And then once they diagnose you with something, then nobody listens to you anymore. Then it's like, oh, well, here we have Dr. Heisen, and then here we have, this guy. He's got, look at this stuff on his chart, come on. Alright? So you have to be able to think for yourself. And who thinks for themselves? Chess players do. Like, you really, it's really hard for you to completely fathom how dumb the average person is until you make them sit across the board from you and actually play a game of chess. Better yet, ask that person to explain to you what they're thinking as they're playing it. Because even if they don't know the game, if they explain what they're doing, then you'll get a sense of their intelligence, right? It's like, hey, I've never programmed in C# before, but let me look at this instruction manual, and as I'm doing it, I'll tell you what I'm thinking. Like what's a webhook, or just by the questions I'm asking, you should be able to gauge my intelligence. But most people, if you ask them to do that, you're going to be stunned. Your jaw's going to drop. It's like, wow, that's... If you weren't just copy-pasting stuff from the terms of service as your job and taking credit for other people's work, how would you get by at all? You're just a warm body who has memorized automatic driving, and you can get yourself to the office essentially. Like, wow, cringe. There's just too many of them. There's just too many idiots. I don't know how there's okay. So there's smart people 2,000 elo plus. There's mediocre people, which is like between 1,000 and 2,000, and then there's idiots who are basically just drooling and have to be told what to do. Here's what's happening. There's 1% of people are smart, like really smart. 10% of people are mediocre, and then 90% of people are just idiots, right? So what happens is the 10% of people who are mediocre know that who the smart people are, and they mind control the idiots because there's more of them, right? So there's 10x the mediocre people as smart people. So the mediocre people just mind control the idiots. And when you're an idiot, when you're under 1,000 elo, you don't know who is also an idiot and who's actually smart. You just know what you're being told. So the mediocre people, because they're mad at the smart people, will poison drip them and tell the idiots that the smart people are also idiots, or they're even worse than idiots, like subhuman or something, right? Like I've been treated. Objectively, by chance, I'm like the smartest person at my whole school, and yet I have multiple mental disorders. Like I know I'm, if you're looking at me, you're like, you're not the most normal guy, but the way that I've been treated is like I'm basically like worthless and homeless, right? So I'm one of the smart people who has been treated like subhuman, and the mediocre people do that in order to maintain control. Because currently we run in an idiot society, or not idiot society, sorry, we run in a mediocre society that's run by mediocre people and powered by the idiot slave engine. Because, even if someone's an idiot, you can give them a club and say, hey, if this guy talks too much, just go to his house and bash his car or something. So when 90% of people are willing to do that to you, because 10% of people are willing to tell them to, as the 1% who's smart, you're kind of sitting there like, okay, all right, we'll just play chess then, and do cool math and do cool computer science, and we're open source, so don't hurt us. Here's the cool Python thing that we wrote. It's free. Do you think Richard Stallman or the people who work on lead chess want to be open source? Who wakes up in the morning and says, hey, I'm going to take this thing that I just worked 100 hours on and just give it away for free because the goodness of my heart? That's the most beta thing I've ever heard. Literally nobody wants to do that. The only reason you want to do that is because you're forced to, and you probably don't even realize it because you're being forced to. So how can we combat this mediocrity? We don't live in a meritocracy. We live in a mediocrity, where, yes, don't be an idiot. Correct, don't be an idiot. However, don't be too smart either. When I say that, when I say, hey, we live in a society where it's don't be an idiot, but don't be too smart either. Does that ring a bell? Does that strike a nerve to you? Certainly does to me. Certainly does to me. But so what can you do if you're one of the smart people? You have to cut into the idiot layer and elevate them. You have to just keep putting out free information and be like, hey, look at this, and just hope that enough people catch on and become a little bit smarter. Because at the end of the day, even though your IQ is even though you're 10 times smarter than somebody, you're still just a warm body. You're the same body mass. So we gotta increase the intelligent body mass somehow. That's literally all. For the past 2 years, after I built Flare, which is the smartest thing of all time, and nobody uses it, I'm the only thing I can do in life is to try to make other people smarter, because otherwise I'm toast. We have a society that does not select for IQ, apparently. So that's why I launched Chess Improvement Inc. Because I really believe that chess is the way to get smarter, and it's not just about playing chess. It's about getting smarter while playing. It's about getting better at chess, and I've run into a lot of resistance even from within the chess community. Just about the very idea of chess improvement. Everybody's gonna laugh at you. It's like, what do you mean? When someone does that, you know they're part of the mediocre tier. With the mediocre tier doesn't want anybody to get better. The idiots don't know it. They're just drooling. They don't know anything, right? They're like, oh, like if you're like, hey man, why don't we make you better at chess? And you can think logically, like, yeah, sure. And then if you're like, yo, hey man, why don't we just drink alcohol and like party all day and F you to improvement? Then they'll be like, yeah, sure, right? The idiots, they'll like based on your emotional tone. If you're like, we're concerned about these chess players, they'll be like, oh, chess players. But if you're like, chess is this bright, budding sport that has many new players. Yeah. You could even try saying negative things, but use a positive tone, like, chess discriminates against people of every lower IQ. Yeah, sweet. Try it. Next time you come across somebody you think is an idiot, like say something that's just awful, but use a very positive tone, and look at their reaction. Like if you're correct that they're an idiot, they'll be like, oh yeah, for sure, man. Like you've never done that. You've never even thought to like poke the social fabric like that. You've always thought that, hey, when I'm speaking, I need to use a congruent tone. I need to, if I truly believe in something, like Steve Jobs, I need to say it with conviction. But that just gives away, that just makes people like, it just makes it easy for them to respond. Because to an idiot, it's like, I don't know what this guy's saying, but he's like, yeah. Like to the idiot, that's what they see. And then they're like, so just switch that up a little bit. And then you'll start to see, like I've done this stuff. When I worked at RSD, all we did was we went to nightclubs, we made fun of idiots, and they did, and like behind their backs, and they didn't even know it, and they paid us money, like continuously, with however they're getting money, which is probably just a free handout. We're working at RSD really exposed me to how dumb people are. Like really, like just really, really dumb. Look, I'm sitting here on Twitch calling a bunch of people dumb and nothing's happening. I mean, I don't want to speak too soon, but I mean that's fun, but like it runs out after a while. Like at some point it's like I'm like making fun of idiots. It's like I've been doing that, and it's getting a little bit old. Can we like build something cool? Like I don't know, like the Latter-day Saints has these like amazing temples, like where they got a bunch of smart people together and they built this beautiful castle. Can we like start doing stuff like that? Like, can we name a street something other than Frankenhauser, or like Malarkey? Like, can we name it something like Brandon Mullane Boulevard, like a classy name, or like build some like cool stuff that doesn't look sarcastic, like the Louvre Pyramid? Everything today is this like weird sarcasm where it's like intentionally mediocre, where if you try to do something really good, people are gonna just laugh at you and be like, like this dude, didn't you know Bach? Didn't you know that Bach already finished music? Come on, man. The well-tempered clavier was the pinnacle of music. There's no way that you can beat the Goldberg variations. Just go home. We're doing EDM now. It's like, right. Like you listen to it and you're like, yeah, I mean, if this was on, I wouldn't plug my ears. But if I was thinking about creating a capsule and burying it in the ground for the future civilization to arrive, I probably wouldn't put this thing in there. It's just sad because I can't actually tell people what I actually think. So that, like, there's layers of how much poison drip is happening, because I can't actually, even now as I'm speaking to you, I'm not telling you what I really think. Even now, I'm like 100x or like 1000x toned down from what's actually going on in my head, in terms of how, like, when I walk outside, I just see things that it's like, dude, I can't believe, like when people are driving, for example. Like, sometimes when I see somebody driving, I'm like, dude, I can't believe I exist in a world where somebody would drive like that. Like, it violates me in every single way. That's so terrible. I don't know if they're stupid or if they have just no concern for their own life or anybody else's life. And that same person is, I don't know, a mechanic or doing something like farmer, or like, nothing against farmers and mechanics. I've met some great farmers, but I'm just saying farmer is a very important role, right? But you can't say that. You can't just go to somebody and be like, dude, you're doing a terrible job. Even when we leave reviews, it's like anonymous, and you're like 10 feet away from the guy when you leave the review. Like, when you finish an Uber ride, you're like far into your house now, and then you can click the little app and you're like, oh, 4 stars. Right? But if you're like, hey man, like, imagine you just finished Uber ride, and instead of going back to your house be like 4 stars, you were just like, yo dude, like, your car smells bad and I can't give you a full review. Even something as matter of fact as that. Now, I'm not saying that everybody's gonna freak out at you, but enough people are gonna freak out. They're literally, like, if you're literally like, hey man, your car smells bad and I'm gonna give you 4 stars, at least 10% of people are gonna be like, dude, are you kidding me? Do you know how much my life, like, depends on this? And then maybe you do it 5 times and then they're like, oh yeah, okay, cool, I'll work on that. But then one guy freaks out, and we live because we're in the mediocre tier. The mediocre tier says, if 3 people out of 100 say you made them uncomfortable for whatever reason, you get kicked out. Literally. Like, 50 people could be like, yeah, he told me my car smells bad, but, you know, I fixed it. 50 people can say that. Like, you can, even after you get kicked out, you can go and talk to those 50 people and be like, bro, I like, they kicked me out. Can you please just write something, or just say, like, hey, you didn't have a problem? Nothing will happen. Because 3 people said that they made you uncomfortable. Now, let's say that I'm a troll who just hates society, and I walk in a room with 100 other people, and I just turn to the guy next to me who doesn't care. Like, to him, it doesn't matter if he is uncomfortable or not. Like, it's one of the guys who are like, yeah, he told me whatever, and I just give him $5 and be like, hey man, like, I'll give you $5. Just say that this guy's making you uncomfortable, right? Or instead of paying them, like, do something. Just act like you're gonna be their friend. Like, hey, what's going on, bro? Like, and then be their friend for, like, 3 hours, and then in 3 hours be like, yo, dude, I think I'm gonna, like, this guy, like, over there with the, like, he's, I don't know, man, like, he's doing that stuff. Can we just like go talk to, like, the bouncer? And then the guy would be like, I mean, I don't really have any friends here. It's like, yeah, sure. And then you go talk to the bouncer, and then you're like, dude, that guy, the yellow, yo, mad creepy, bro. And then the guy who doesn't care is sitting there like, mm-hmm. And then he'll be like, dude, my broski right here, I've known this guy, and, like, he agrees, bro. Like, look at his face. And the other guy's like, and the bouncer is, probably, he could be an idiot. Like, he could, and I'm not saying anything about bouncers. There's idiots at every level, right? But the bouncer could just be like, dude, I don't want to have to deal with this right now. Like, you gotta go, man. Just you gotta go. Like multiple people have been, like, submitting reports about you. You just get out of here. That's what happens. And then you're somebody who lives. Let's say that you're actually one of the mediocre people. You're like 1200 elo or so, right? Which means you're better than an idiot. However, as you're being a mediocre and just sitting there with your 2 years of chess experience, just blundering your knight on 35th move over and over again, and every like 3 tournaments you turn around, and when I say tournaments, I mean that metaphorically, right? But you turn around and you see the smart guy getting ushered away because he went a little bit manic or a little bit crazy or whatever they want to call it, then you're like, Now, if I study really hard, I'm probably going to start sounding like one of those smart people. Like, it's like the stuff that I'm going to say is going to start making a lot of sense. And I'm just going to be a lot more, like, direct. Where I can, like, tell people exactly what's wrong with them. And it also seems like that the smart people can't actually control themselves, where because they're so sure by being smart, they actually have to say something. Like it's like a disorder. It's called, like, when you see it, you have to say it disorder, which we don't have. Fortunately, we have the just look at things and complain about people behind their back, normal behavior, and don't say any names. That's normal behavior. But they're like, but they just, when they see something, they just say it to your face, like, instantly. I can go home and read, like, Jeremy Silman for like 3 months and, like, get to maybe 1800, but then I'm at the cusp of, like, becoming one of those weirdos. Or do I want to just keep hanging out with my 1200 broskies? Right? And then once you make that decision to just hang out with your 1200 broskies, you're going to start poison dripping. Now let's say your friend, now you already decided that you're never going to improve again. And then your friend comes over and it's like, hey, yo, bro, like, it's been great kicking it at, like, the Class D tournaments with you, but I've decided recently to hire International Master John Bartholomew as my coach. And he said I could probably make it to 2000 or, like, a national master level by in, like, 4 years if I really tried. And I guess, you know, if you're not doing it, we're just not going to be playing the same class anymore. To you. And then you go, the only reason that I'm winning these tournaments is because every time a smart person shows up, I can go like this with this guy who now is taking lessons, and this other guy that we know who we buy the drinks for, and it takes 3 of us minimum to get the smart guy thrown out. So if this guy goes, we're down to 2, and now there's going to be a sudden influx of smart people, and that's going to cause me to lose out on my tournament funds. So what I'm going to say is, dude, I heard that guy, I don't know. I heard it's a scam. Who would you say, like, IB bachelors, Hans Trollface? And then your friend's like, what? Lolcac. And because your friend's one of the mediocre people who has an attention span of about 30 seconds, if you just send a bunch of, like, when he says something serious, you just send lolcac. You just send, like, something incoherent. Like, like chessable tool. Let's finish. Just invest in the... You don't need that. Lolcac. And then because your friend is mediocre, it'll be like his brain, because he talked to International Master John Bartholomew, had temporarily been, like, enlightened. He was like, wow, like, I see this bright future where, like, people are logical and chess tournaments are held in the capital, and, like, and we're finally paid the level of respect, and I'm a 2000 level player, and I finally have reached the potential that I've been looking for in life. But because you've been mediocre your whole life and you've only had that one little peak experience, very quickly your brain can just get turned off again when your friend goes, and sends a bunch of emotes, which I like, by the way. Emotes, there's nothing wrong with emotes, depends on the emote. Emoteyourfriends.com. So, frack mediocre. Sorry, I almost turned off my own brain there. Yeah, this is what it's like. It's like he just says the same, like he just repeats. Like when I go on a big streamer's stream, like Levy Rosman or Nakamura stream, both guys that I respect personally, but their streams are huge, so there's tons of people in there, right? So they can't control it. When I go in there, it's literally the same thing that they, like, today they still say the same thing they said yesterday and the same thing they said before, the day before that. Whereas I'm constantly trying to come up with new ideas, which in itself, if you say, like, did you realize we live in a society where if you start saying things that people aren't saying, you're automatically crazy? Which means if you're trying to come up with new ideas, like, you're kind of like out of, because by definition you're actively trying not to repeat yourself. Whereas there's 30,000 people going lolcac in Hikaru Nakamura's chat, and because there's more of them, that's suddenly the normal, because normal is what's voted on. It would be like if we had chess but without stockfish, and if like everyone just plays based on voting, and then everyone votes on if you won or not. That's how real life works. You could be like, if they brought that to a chess tournament, which actually might happen at some point. Like, 1,000 idiots could look at a checkmate and be like, the other player won. And we change the rules, so like, if we say that they won, then they won. And then you go, well, let me make you, no. It's sad, it's very dire, the situation that we're in. But we have the internet now. Like, so think about this, right? You're smart. Now, there's tons of smart people in Pakistan and India. Like, and China. There's like billions of them. Did you know that there's like more than just the West? There's more than people like around us. So if you're a smart person, now the interesting thing about the Indians is that they will actually help you more if you're smart. Like, look at this design that I have. Look at everything that I've done on Discord and Twitch. It's like pretty good, right? I think it's like really good. I paid some Indian guy like $5 to do it. And what he sent to me is 100 times better. Look at this chess improvement logo right here. It's burning. And it's like 3-dimensional. When you look at it, it's like, how is that in a flat surface? Like, you can look at it for like 3 hours and like, how do they do that? I paid a guy in Pakistan like $30 to make it. I think that logo is like really nice. And he doesn't have anything on his profile that in my opinion, is as good as what he gave me. And I also had to, use my intelligence to find it. So because you have that resource, you can be significantly more effective, and you can look like you're like 100 people instead of just one with the internet. So if every smart person looks like they're 100 people, then now we can outnumber the mediocre people, and the idiots will just kind of listen to what they hear the most, right? Like the idiot, because there's 10 mediocre people and one smart person, the idiots, because they hear the mediocre thing 10 times for every one time they hear the smart thing, they're going to do the mediocre thing because they're just like they're just like, oh. And then the smart guy's like, hey, why don't you read that book? And they go, okay. And they pick up the book, and the mediocre guy comes in and just slaps it off his hand. And then the next mediocre guy comes in and stomps on the ground, and the next mediocre guy spits on it. And then 10 people later, a wise man arrives and picks up the book. It's all brittle, but there's like one little page with like a parable on it. It goes, "Hey, I know they destroyed the book, but just read this. Just read this, please. Like, it'll make you smarter." And the idiot goes, "The prince and then 2 seconds later, a mediocre guy comes, "Get out of your hands, man. We don't do that around here. What do you think?" And the next mediocre guy goes, "Yeah. Don't listen to that guy. He's a Looney Tune. We don't like him." And the idiot goes, "Oh my God. Almost. It's alright, man. We got you." Yeah. But now we're on the internet. You can just create a bunch of bots. Just add the idiot to a server that has 10 mediocre people in it, but 100 bots. And for every message that is sent in that server, one of the bots replies, "Greetings, here's a chess puzzle that you can solve," or "Greetings, like, here's a page from an enlightened book," or "Greetings, here's how you count to 3,000. Now it's going to be like the idiot picks up the book and the mediocre guy slaps it out of his hand, and then now 10 bots swarm over and just throw tons of books at him and say, "Yeah, read this." And the idiot goes, "Yay." And then maybe 10 minutes later, another mediocre gets out of your hand. And then one of the bots is like, "Hey, the book." Because the emotional aspect is really important. So the internet has allowed intelligence to really have a very powerful reach that it didn't have before, but you have to play the numbers game. You just have to do it. And you have to take advantage of the fact that the Pakistan guys will not, like, if you're a smart person and you communicate that you're smart, literally, I'm not even joking, they will do better work for you. I've noticed this time and time again. Like, they will IQ test you by coming up with all this like weird like reasons, and you just have to. It's like a secret password thing, where it's like if you just say the right thing, they'll just figure it out instantly. And what I've come to realize is that they knew how to do it, but they were just asking all these questions to see if you were an idiot or mediocre, to see if they should give you $1 worth of work for $5 or $50 worth of work for $5, because to them it takes the same amount of time. So these guys are a godsend because they're helping to correct the economic imbalance in society. Like, this is not something that I just made up, and this is not something that I'm telling them to do. This is actually what's happening. I've experienced it. Look at my stuff. Look at this stuff. I have millions of dollars worth of branding that I paid like a couple $100 for. The branding at my old company was not as good as this. The branding at my old company was not as good as this. And we had tons of money because we didn't use guys in Pakistan, and we didn't have me messaging them to validate that I'm not an idiot. Which is also something that smart people should do, right? Like, if you come across a fellow smart person, someone pays you the same amount, just give them more value. And then the smart circle grows. And then the other people, I'm not saying they should be zero, but you should be, relative to your capacity for output. Like, so to make it more fair. Because the guys that I met from India and Pakistan, they're really smart, and also they're very happy. It doesn't matter that they don't have as much money per capita. They know it's fair, and they're just like pretty chill. It's like it's much easier to be happy and not depressed when you live in a system that's fair. Just wanted to put that out there. But anyways, this is coming up on an hour long, so I'm gonna end the stream now. Probably gonna upload it to YouTube. And if you're anybody, sign up for my chess courses, and hopefully you can get smarter. And hope you guys have enjoyed, and I'll see y'all later.